What if I told you that the difference between those who merely survive and those who truly thrive isn't talent, luck, or circumstance, but 7 simple habits that anyone can master? Welcome back to Legacy Book Insight, where we unlock the wisdom of transformational books that shape destinies. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most influential personal development books ever written. Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This isn't just another self-help summary. This is your roadmap to becoming the architect of your own extraordinary life. Over the next 18 minutes, we'll journey through principles that have transformed millions of lives across the globe. From corporate boardrooms to family kitchens, from struggling students to world leaders. These 7 habits have been a silent force behind remarkable transformations. But here's what makes this different. We're not just going to list these habits. We're going to show you how to weave them into the fabric of your daily existence, how to make them as natural as breathing, and how they can turn your biggest challenges into your greatest victories. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand these habits. You'll be ready to live them. The foundation: character ethics versus personality ethics. Before we dive into the 7 habits, we need to understand something crucial. Covey discovered that success literature from the last 200 years falls into 2 categories: character ethics and personality ethics. For the first 150 years, success was built on character ethics. Integrity, humility, courage, justice, patience, temperance. These were the bedrock principles that created lasting success and fulfillment. But in the last 50 years, something shifted. We became obsessed with personality ethics. Quick fixes, techniques, positive attitudes, image management. We started focusing on the fruit instead of the root. Imagine a magnificent oak tree. The personality ethics approach is like spray painting the leaves green while the roots are dying. It might look good temporarily, but it's not sustainable. The character ethics approach nourishes the roots, and naturally, the tree flourishes. The 7 habits are rooted in timeless principles. They work from the inside out, transforming you at the core level. The maturity continuum. These 7 habits follow a progression that Covey calls the maturity continuum. It's a journey from dependence to independence to interdependence. Think of a newborn baby, completely dependent on others for survival. As we grow, we develop independence. We learn to take care of ourselves, make our own decisions, achieve our own goals. But the highest level of maturity is interdependence. Recognizing that our greatest achievements come through meaningful collaboration with others. The first 3 habits move you from dependence to independence. They're about private victory, mastering yourself. The next 3 habits are about public victory, learning to work effectively with others. And the 7th habit is about renewal, keeping yourself sharp and growing. Let's begin this transformative journey. Habit 1. Be proactive. Picture this scene. 2 men, same age, same company, same devastating layoff announcement. One man slumps in his chair, muttering about the unfair economy, his bad luck, the company's poor management. The other man sits quietly for a moment, then pulls out his phone and starts making calls to his network. Same stimulus, completely different responses. This is the essence of habit 1. Be proactive. Between stimulus and response lies your freedom to choose. And in that choice lies your growth and happiness. Most people are reactive. Their weather is emotional weather. When people treat them well, they feel good. When people don't, they become defensive or protective. Their physical weather affects them too. Rain and gloom bring their spirits down. But proactive people carry their own weather. They recognize that their behavior is a product of their decisions, not their conditions. They have what Covey calls responsibility. the ability to choose their response. Here's a practical daily application. Start paying attention to your language. Reactive language sounds like, "There's nothing I can do. That's just the way I am. They make me so mad. I have to do that." Proactive language sounds like, "Let's look at our alternatives. I can choose a different approach. I control my own feelings. I will choose an appropriate response." For the next week, try this exercise. Carry a small notebook and make a mark every time you use reactive language. Then consciously rephrase it proactively. You'll be amazed how this simple shift changes your entire mindset. Focus on your circle of influence, not your circle of concern. Your circle of concern includes things that worry you, but you have no control over: the weather, the economy, other people's behavior. Your circle of influence includes things you can actually impact: your own behavior, your responses, your efforts. Proactive people focus their efforts on their circle of influence. They work on the things they can do something about. As they do this, something remarkable happens. Their circle of influence begins to expand. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Imagine you're attending a funeral. You walk into the room, see the flowers, hear the soft music. You look around, see the faces of friends and family. You walk up to the casket and realize you're looking at yourself. This isn't morbid. This is one of the most powerful exercises in personal leadership. What would you want people to say about you? What kind of husband, wife, parent, friend, colleague were you? What legacy would you want to leave? Beginning with the end in mind means starting with a clear understanding of your destination. It means knowing where you're going so that you better understand where you are now, and so that the steps you take are always in the right direction. Most people define success by comparison to others or by what society expects. But true success is living according to your own deeply held values and principles. Here's your challenge. Write your own personal mission statement. This isn't a corporate buzzword exercise. This is about defining your core values and life purpose. Start by asking yourself, what are the 3 most important roles in my life? For many people, it might be spouse, parent, and professional. For others, it might be different. Then ask, what kind of person do I want to be in each role? What values do I want to guide my decisions? A powerful personal mission statement might read, to love and support my family unconditionally, to contribute meaningfully to my community, and to continuously grow in wisdom and character. Write it down, refine it over time, but most importantly, use it as your constitution for life. When you face difficult decisions, ask yourself, which choice aligns with my mission? This habit is about mental creation preceding physical creation. Everything is created twice, first in the mind, then in reality. If you don't make a conscious effort to visualize who you are and what you want in life, you empower other people and circumstances to shape you and your life by default. Habit 3. Put first things first. Having a clear mission is meaningless without the discipline to live it. Habit 3 is about integrity to your deepest values. It's about organizing and executing around your most important priorities. Think about how you spend your time. Covey introduces us to the time management matrix, divided into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, urgent and important crises, emergencies, deadline-driven projects. Quadrant 2, not urgent but important, prevention, relationship building, planning, recreation. Quadrant 3, urgent but not important, interruptions, some calls, some meetings, some emails. Quadrant 4, not urgent and not important, time wasters, excessive TV, mindless internet browsing. Most people spend their time in quadrants 1 and 3, always reacting to what seems urgent. They think they're being productive, but they're just being busy. Highly effective people spend most of their time in quadrant 2. They focus on important activities that prevent many crises from occurring in the first place. Here's a life-changing practice. Every week, before you plan your schedule, identify your most important roles and set 1 to 2 key goals for each role that week. Then schedule time for these goals first, before filling your calendar with less important activities. For example, if one of your roles is parent, a quadrant 2 goal might be spend quality one-on-one time with each child. Schedule this time first. Protect it like you would protect a crucial business meeting. If one of your roles is health steward, a quadrant 2 goal might be exercise 4 times this week. Block out that time. Don't wait for time to magically appear. The key is learning to say no to good things so you can say yes to the best things. This requires courage because you'll disappoint some people. But remember, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Habit 4. Think win-win. Now we transition from private victory to public victory. The next 3 habits are about working effectively with others. Most people have been conditioned to think in terms of win-lose. If I win, you must lose. If you're successful, that somehow diminishes my success. This scarcity mentality poisons relationships and limits possibilities. Win-win is a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefit in all human interactions. It's based on the paradigm that there's plenty for everybody, that one person's success is not achieved at the expense of another. Let me tell you about Sarah, a sales manager who was struggling with her team's performance. The traditional approach would have been to create internal competition, ranking team members against each other. Instead, Sarah implemented a win-win approach. She worked with each team member to understand their personal and professional goals. She restructured the compensation system so that when the team succeeded, everyone benefited proportionally based on their contribution. She created mentoring partnerships where top performers were rewarded for helping struggling colleagues improve. The result? The entire team's performance increased dramatically. Instead of hoarding techniques and leads, team members started sharing strategies. Instead of resentment, there was collaboration. Instead of a few winners and many losers, everyone won. But win-win isn't just about being nice. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is walk away from a potential win-lose situation. If you can't find a solution that benefits everyone, sometimes no deal is the best option. This requires tremendous character and maturity. It means being both courageous enough to stand up for yourself and considerate enough to seek solutions that benefit others. Daily application. In every interaction, before you speak or act, ask yourself, how can we both win in this situation? Look for ways to expand the pie instead of just fighting for a bigger slice. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Yet most people spend their conversations preparing what they're going to say next instead of truly listening to what's being said. This habit is about empathic listening, not listening with the intent to reply, but listening with the intent to understand. It's about seeing the world through someone else's paradigm. Most people listen at one of 4 levels: ignoring, pretending, selective listening, or attentive listening. But empathic listening is the 5th and highest level. You listen with your ears, your eyes, and your heart. You listen for feeling, for meaning, for behavior. Here's a powerful example. John came home from work frustrated and immediately started complaining to his wife about his terrible day. His wife's first instinct was to offer solutions. Why don't you talk to your boss? Maybe you should look for another job. But John didn't need solutions. He needed to be heard and understood. His wife learned to respond with empathy first. It sounds like you felt really undervalued today. That must have been frustrating. Only after John felt understood was he open to discussing solutions. The magic phrase for empathic listening is, "Help me understand." This opens the door to genuine communication. Before you can effectively communicate your point of view, you need to understand theirs. When people feel deeply understood, they become more open to being influenced. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone. You can disagree with someone's opinion while still understanding their perspective and respecting their right to hold it. Practice this daily. In your next important conversation, commit to fully understanding the other person's point of view before presenting your own. Repeat back what you heard to confirm understanding. So if I understand correctly, you're saying? Habit 6. Synergize. Synergy is the highest activity in all life. It's about creating solutions that are better than any individual could have conceived alone. 1 + 1 = 3, or even more. When people begin to interact together genuinely, and they're open to each other's influence, they begin to gain new insights. The capability of inventing new approaches is increased exponentially because of differences. Think about the Wright brothers. Neither Orville nor Wilbur could have invented the airplane alone. Their different perspectives, skills, and ways of thinking combined to create something revolutionary. Orville was more theoretical and methodical. Wilbur was more intuitive and practical. Their differences weren't obstacles to overcome, but strengths to leverage. Synergy doesn't happen automatically. It requires all the previous habits. Proactivity, taking initiative to create collaborative solutions, beginning with the end in mind, sharing a common vision, putting first things first, prioritizing the relationship and the larger goal. Win-win, believing that better solutions exist, seeking to understand, valuing different perspectives. When you see only two alternatives, yours and the wrong one, you can look for a synergistic third alternative. Almost always there is one, and finding it leads to genuine excitement and creativity. In your daily interactions, when you find yourself in disagreement with someone, instead of arguing for your position, try saying, "I see things differently, but maybe that's good. You may have something I need to hear. Let's talk about it." This opens up possibilities for synergy. You might discover a solution neither of you had considered before. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. A woodsman was working feverishly to cut down trees, but his progress kept slowing. When asked why he didn't stop to sharpen his saw, he replied, "I don't have time to sharpen the saw. I'm too busy cutting." Habit 7 is about taking time to sharpen the saw. It's preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, you. It's renewing the 4 dimensions of your nature: physical, spiritual, mental, and social/emotional. The physical dimension involves caring for your physical body, eating the right foods, getting enough rest, and exercising regularly. Exercise is probably the single greatest quadrant 2 activity because it benefits every other area of your life. The spiritual dimension is your core, your center, your commitment to your value system. For many people, this dimension is nurtured through meditation, prayer, reading inspiring literature, or spending time in nature. The mental dimension is developed through reading, writing, learning, and teaching. Unless you exercise your mind, it becomes dull and ineffective. The social/emotional dimension centers on your relationships with others and your own emotional well-being. This dimension is renewed through service, empathy, synergy, and intrinsic security. Renewal is the principle and the process that empowers us to move on an upward spiral of growth and change, of continuous improvement. Create a weekly renewal plan. Physical, schedule time for exercise and proper rest. Spiritual, set aside time for reflection, meditation, or prayer. Mental, Commit to reading meaningful books or learning new skills. Social/emotional. Plan quality time with loved ones and acts of service. Remember, this isn't selfish. Taking time to sharpen the saw increases your capacity to produce and handle the challenges in all areas of your life. These 7 habits aren't just concepts to understand intellectually. They're principles to live by, habits to develop, and character traits to embody. The journey from dependence to interdependence isn't easy. It requires patience, practice, and persistence. There will be setbacks. There will be days when you revert to old patterns. That's normal. That's human. But here's what I want you to understand. Every time you choose proactivity over reactivity, every time you act according to your values instead of your feelings, every time you listen with empathy instead of judgment, you're building character. You're becoming the person you were meant to be. The 7 habits create an upward spiral of growth. As you develop one habit, it makes the others easier. As you become more proactive, it's easier to begin with the end in mind. As you seek first to understand, it becomes easier to find win-win solutions. Start small. Don't try to implement all 7 habits at once. Choose one habit and focus on it for 30 days. Make it your primary area of growth. When that habit starts becoming natural, add another. Remember, you're not your past. You are not your circumstances. You are not even your thoughts and feelings. You are the conscious being capable of choosing your response to any situation. The habits of highly effective people aren't just about being more productive or successful in the conventional sense. They're about becoming a person of character, integrity, and contribution. They're about creating a life of meaning and making a difference in the world. Your transformation starts now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel ready. Now, because the world needs what you have to offer. Your family needs the best version of you. Your community needs your unique contributions. And you deserve to live a life aligned with your deepest values and highest aspirations. As we conclude this journey through the 7 habits, remember that knowledge without application is just entertainment. The real power of these principles lies not in understanding them, but in living them. Every morning, you wake up with a choice. You can drift through your day, reacting to whatever comes your way, living by default. Or you can choose to be proactive, to live by design, to make each day a masterpiece aligned with your deepest values. The path of the 7 habits isn't the easy path. It's the path that requires courage, discipline, and commitment. But it's also the path that leads to extraordinary results, meaningful relationships, and a life of contribution and fulfillment. Here at Legacy Book Insight, we believe that every person has the potential for greatness. These 7 habits are your tools for unlocking that potential. If this video has inspired you to begin your own transformation journey, hit that like button and let us know in the comments which habit resonates most with you. Subscribe and ring the bell for more life-changing book summaries that can transform your destiny. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Because when we lift others up, we rise together. Your legacy begins with your daily habits. Make them count. Until next time, keep growing, keep contributing, and keep building the legacy you are meant to leave. This is Legacy Book Insight. And remember, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Thank you for watching.